What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at 10 top teams for the Sunshine Cup. I've actually shown this exact same video once on my channel already, so if you have seen that video, absolutely nothing has changed. Basically just this commentary is different, otherwise the teams are exactly the same, but it was released at the very beginning of the season, so in case you want a reminder of what is in this league, it's only Pokemon that, of course, are below 1500 CP. You have normal, fire, grass, and ground type Pokemon are eligible. Everything else is banned. So we have a 4-typing cup. And of course, with a 4-typing cup, everything is going to get in off its secondary typings to be the top ranked Pokemon. So we have Credilli, Gligar, Magcargo, Talonflame, Swampert, Jumpluff, Diggersby, Gliscor, Clodsire, Quagsire, Ninetales, Furret, Skeledirge, Golurk, and that is basically the top 20 plus their shadows. And without further ado, let's take a look at 10 top teams. I will say a special thank you to the Legend Trainer members on this channel, Big Burden, Andrew Pitten, Musachu, Noodleman, but also a huge special thank you to all of you guys. I just hit 3K subs on this channel, which is absolutely amazing. I cannot believe how fast we're growing. It's been such a pleasure. I'm just having so much fun with it. So I appreciate you guys all watching these videos. And yeah, let's take a look at some top teams. All right, so the very first team that we're going to take a look at is Talonflame, Furret, and Credilli. This is kind of an ABB style team because you have 2 Pokemon in the back that are weak to fighting, except there aren't really any direct fighters in this meta. Just Pokemon with fighting coverage, for example, like Furret, which is opting for Brick Break over Trailblaze in this meta, and you'll kind of see why as we go down this list, Credilli being one of them. You hit super effective there while boosting your Sucker Punches by lowering the opponent's defense. And then the Credilli and Talon core is just really good. Credilli is weak to Ice, Fighting, Bug, and Steel. Talon resists all of those except for Ice, which is neutral, but it has Incinerate for super effective damage there, and the option for Flame Charge. The next thing we're going to take a look at is Shadow Swampert, Gligar, and Farfetch'd. Now, Mudboy plus Flyer Core, has been absolutely everywhere since the dawn of time. So on this team, we're covering Swampert's only weakness, which is a double weakness to grass, with Gligar and Farfetch'd. Gligar, of course, is just a solid safe swap, and generally neutral across the meta into anything that isn't ice. Swampert helps with ice by neutralizing that damage with its water typing, of course ground being weak to it. And then Farfetch'd in the back, also weak to ice, but has great coverage and pacing. It has Fury Cutter, which was buffed this season, and Air Cutter to boost its attack, which is really nice. That combination is pretty nice. And then it also has Leaf Blade for all the Mud Boys, which I assume are going to be absolutely everywhere in this cup. So Farfetch'd definitely want to take a look at, as well as the rock types, which it can cover with Leaf Blade, which is really nice because that's one of its weaknesses. The pacing on this thing is absolutely nuts. You're seeing straight 9 Fury Cutters, which is faster than Swampert getting to the Hydro Cannons. Like, that is absolutely insane. I will say it is a Hundo XL heavy mon though, so really any flyer would work in its place, but if you have this Pokemon, you know what, submit some battles, I'll showcase it because it would be really cool to see. The next thing we're going to take a look at is Magcargo, Flygon, and Shadow Jumpluff. The Magcargo Jumpluff core is always solid. Magcargo, of course, weak to fighting, ground, water, and rock. Of course, Flygon is your safe swap, neutral into all of those, but it resists rock and has super effective coverage for rock if it's running Scorching Sands. However, you'll notice it's opting for Stone Edge in this meta to deter its main weakness of ice, which is really nice to have on the safe swap. And then obviously if you lure it out, you hit it with the Stone Edge, you flip switch, Jumpluff doesn't have to face that ice, or you grab a shield, and then you have overheat spam with Magcargo, and you're looking at a pretty solid win con there. And then obviously Shadow Jumpluff can punish, and it can sweep in any of those end games that Magcargo can't finish. The next thing we're going to take a look at is Lurantis Double Zyre. So Lurantis obviously was buffed or had Fury Cutter, but Fury Cutter got buffed this season. So now it has insane damage and insane pacing, much like Farfetch'd, except yeah, I mean, of course, Leaf Blade is stab here on Lurantis where it wasn't on Farfetch'd. So all you have to really do is you have to cover its weaknesses, which are fire, poison, bug, and flying. So how are we covering those weaknesses? We've got 2 ground type Stone Edge users in the back, which are good into all of those types. Quagsire also can neutralize the ice weakness due to its water typing. But the main ice type Pokemon in this meta are actually Abomasnow and what else do you have? Piloswine. So with Fury Cutter and Superpower, you have super effective into Abomasnow, and Fury Cutter, Leaf, or just Leaf Blade, I guess, you have, and Superpower, I suppose, you have super effective coverage into Piloswine. So really, Lurantis doesn't really have any bad matchups when it comes to ice. They're more neutral than anything, so Clodsire is never really going to have to see that, and you're not going to have to worry about your double weakness there. The next team we're going to take a look at is a little bit of a meme team. We've got Fletchinder, Furfrou, and Drampa. This is very, very similar to the first team that I showcased with Talonflame and Furret, but with Credilli instead of Drampa. And basically, the idea behind this team is that Drampa, as a normal dragon, it's weak to fighting and fairy. So how do you cover those weaknesses? You cover it with a fire flying, which resists both. That said, if you're gonna run like a fire flyer, just run Talonflame. It's going to be better than Fletchinder. The only reason I included Fletchinder was just to make it a little bit different, but also to highlight the fact that it has Ember, and Ember did get buffed this season. So it has some okay pacing this season and slightly better bulk than Talonflame. So it might have some better win conditions in certain situations, but otherwise just use Talonflame. And then same goes for Furfrou in this meta, just use Furret. But if you don't have Furret, Furfrou will do fine. It has access to Sucker Punch as well, which is also non-stab, but it has some pretty unique coverage with both Surf and Grass Knot, which can hit majority of the meta for at least neutral damage. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much it. Oh, also, Drampa is weak to Ice, and Fletchinder with Ember or Talonflame with Incinerate can hit that for super effective damage. And of course, you have your normal type, same idea, to lord out the weaknesses of the fighting, and then punish, like a Magcargo, for example, would be a tough lead for Fletchinder. But we have 2 better answers in the back because we have a Pokemon with Surf and a Dragon in the back, so pretty workable for this team. The next team we're going to take a look at is more of an ABC style team with Shadow Bibarel, Victreebel, and Runerigus. We have Bibarel on the lead, which is weak to fighting, electric, and grass. Victreebel, as a grass poison, beats all 3 of those typings, and then Runerigus beats both electric and fighting, as well as double resists acid on Credilli, which is the most common grass type in this meta. So it actually has a positive matchup in the 0 and 1 shield scenarios, which is really cool. Overall, this team is super strong. I basically included this team because I just built a very high rank Shadow Bibarel, so I wanted to take a look at it. I don't think I have a Runerigus built because I'm waiting for one with good IVs, and it's obviously never been in the wild, or at least not recently, so I've been kind of waiting on that. But the core between Bibarel and Victreebel, extremely solid. The next team we're going to take a look at is Shadow Abomasnow, Clodsire, and Shadow Swampert. We're starting to look at more core breakers now. Abomasnow being that core breaker on this team. It breaks the Mudboy plus Credilli core. That said, Credilli running Acid makes that matchup a little bit closer. In fact, it actually loses it in the 1 shield scenario because it can survive after shielding and then debuffing with a Rock Tomb. So bit of a neutral matchup there, if anything, but it can set up either Pokemon in the back for a farm down and get a nice energy lead, which is honestly more important because Swampert with an energy lead is extremely deadly, especially once you remove Credilli from the field. And then obviously Swampert is in the back to cover Abomasnow's main weaknesses, which is a double weakness to fire. And like I said, it also struggles against poison, so having 2 grounds in the back works there. The next team we're going to take a look at is Shadow Hippowdon, Credilli, and Shadow Bibarel. Now, bear with me here on this one because this looks like kind of a crazy team. You might be like wondering, okay, what's going on? But if you take a look at Shadow Hippowdon, I noticed that the rankings don't actually accurately represent its best moveset for this meta. If you just go sim all of its movesets, in the 1 shield scenario, Shadow Hippowdon actually goes 12 and 18 with Sand Attack, which isn't a great record, which is probably why it's down at the 65 rank there. but it actually goes 15 and 15 with a positive average if you run Ice Fang instead. So definitely run Ice Fang to catch your opponents off guard, and then just cover its weakness to water and ice with Credilli and Bibarel in the back. You could honestly run any team with this Pokemon. I would honestly consider using it as a safe swap because your opponent's probably not going to expect to see an Ice Fang user when you come in with your ground. So just look out for this Pokemon. I think it has a lot of potential with the Ice Fang, and I might be taking an early look at it to see if I can core break some teams early on. The next team that we're going to take a look at is Credilli, Diggersby, and Piloswine. Now, I know what you're thinking, and if you haven't gotten there yet, yes, this team is triple weak to fighting. But like I said, there's not really any fighters in this meta. So the idea behind this team is Piloswine doesn't want to see water, but it's also weak to grass and usually has trouble with other ice types because it's also half ground. So we have Diggersby on the safe swap to lure out the weaknesses of Piloswine, and if it lures out an ice or a grass, it has super effective Fire Punch for coverage. It also is just so bulky that it makes matchups with Mudboys close too, just with quick attacks and Scorching Sands. And if you bait out a Mudboy, Piloswine just absolutely roams free, and then Credilli and Piloswine also create a pretty strong core in this meta. One thing I will say, maybe not particularly on this team, is that Diggersby if you have a return Diggersby, like a high rank return Diggersby with quick attack, Scorching Sands, and return, this thing has a 22-8 record in this meta. It's insane. Fire Punch, it's already positive. I think it's like 18 and I don't know, 13 or something like that. But yeah, with return instead of Fire Punch, it goes absolutely crazy. Now, do you actually want to run return instead of Fire Punch in this meta? I'm not really sure, but if you have a higher ranked Diggersby and you want to run return, submit some battles once again, because I would love to showcase it, and I've been trying to hunt one for myself for a while, but unfortunately to no avail. But yeah, taking a look at the next team. And you know how I just said that there aren't really any fighters? Okay, maybe I lied a little bit. So we have Magmar and Magmortar, which both exist, and so does Chestnut and Breloom, but they're poorly ranked, and for good reason. Magmar just has great core breaking potential because it's very glassy, and it doesn't win matchups that it doesn't win matchups that it should, even though it has that core breaking potential. That said, we've paired it with Credilli to cover its weaknesses and provide some bulk, as well as a Mudboy in the back to really put on the charge move pressure with this team for kind of like an overload strategy. You're just coming fast with these charge moves. They all hit super hard, so the opponent has to shield something. And you know what? The fast moves, they do some okay chip as well, especially with Karate Chop. It's going to hit neutral or super effective into a lot of the meta. Of course, your biggest issue on Magmar is going to be like Talonflame, because it resists literally everything in your moveset. But that said, that's why we have Credilli and Swampert in the back. Taking a look at the final team, this is a bit of a spicy team. We have Turtonator on the lead, which is bad against your Mudboys. It's going to be bad against other dragons. Of course, your rock types. So we have a Grass and / Fairy to cover those weaknesses in Whimsicott in the back. And then Spinda as the safe switch, which has phenomenal coverage for this meta and a really great moveset because it has Sucker Punch, just like Furret, but it also has Rock Tomb and Icy Wind. So I bet this thing is an absolute beast in the 1 and 2 shield scenario, because it can shield up, debuff the opponent's attack, and really put on the pressure. Of course, this is once again a Hundo level 50 or 51 Pokemon, but between Rock Tomb and Icy Wind, you can hit pretty much all of Turtonator's losing matchups for super effective damage. So that coverage and this core is actually really, really solid, even though on paper it may not look it, but I think the coverage of this team is pretty solid for a solid ABC style team there. But yeah, that's going to be it for me from this video. Thank you all so much for watching, and until next time, peace.